Hey everybody, welcome back to Miss Birch's library lessons. Today we're going to talk about the adventure category. Adventure is read in our library. Um, it's over on the wall near the window. Now, in adventure fiction, that means that you're going to probably go on a trip in the book and something is definitely going to happen, usually some dangerous activities. So, today I'm going to share with you some of my favorites from the adventure section that you are more than welcome to check out. Just fill out that Google form on the Jefferson Media Center page, okay? So, let's get started. This is A Hunt for Red October. It's by Tom Clancy. He's a very famous author. The Hunt for Red October is the story of a military story about a Russian submarine that is trying to get into U.S. waters. Um, and it is very intense. This book takes place back during the Cold War in the 80s. It also was a very popular movie. So if you want a great adventure, military adventure, a hunt, The Hunt for Red October is the book for you. Now, next. This is A Dog's Way Home, and it is now currently going to be a movie. It is the story of a dog, and she has a great owner that adopts her, and they are like best friends. They do everything together. But then she gets lost and is taken very far away. Her adventures take her so far away from home, but she never forgets her way home and she fights to find her way back to her owner. This is a great story. I cried during the previews and cried while I was reading the summary of the book. Oh my goodness. Love it. So this is A Dog's Way Home. Now, this next one, all of my non-readers that hate to read, it's not that you hate to read, it's that you haven't found what you like to read. I can do it. I can find you something that you like to read. So if you hate to read, you need to email me. Okay? My email is on the Power School page for the Media Center. But this book, if you hate to read, this has gotten lots of people, lots of boys especially, to reading. This is called Outlaw. Outlaw is the story of a boy who goes to the Middle East for his spring break and he is kidnapped. And they are threatening to kill him. This is his story of how he escapes being kidnapped. Outlaw. Read it today. Now, next is one of my favorite adventures, and it took me like 3 days to read this book. This is The Living. It's by Matt De La Pena. He has actually been to Fort Wayne Community Schools and did a talk for us. This is the story of a Hispanic young man who, I'm back, Mr. Davis had to come take the trash out. Okay, anyway, back to The Living. So, The Living is the story of a boy whose mom he's having to help his mom make ends meet because his grandmother, who had been living with them, dies of this mysterious virus. And so he gets a job on a cruise ship. And the first time he goes out, there is an accident. Someone falls overboard, so they think, or just pushed overboard. But everything goes great with him working. Then the second time he goes out, he feels like he's being followed, but he doesn't understand why. And then they are caught in a storm. The cruise ship's caught in a storm, and they end up capsizing. So the ship goes down, and then he has to survive at sea. And they end up on this island, and then he finds out that the reason that He has ended up on the island, and the reason that he was being stared at and watched was because his grandmother was given a vaccine when she came in from Mexico to the United States, and it's actually how she caught the virus. They were studying a virus, so the government gave it to her in secret. And now this big pharmaceutical company is trying to get rid of all of the people involved in that study of that vaccine. So this is the living, and you got to find out if he actually survives. So next, this is Diamonds in the Shadow by Caroline B. Cooney. It is the story of a family that comes from South Africa to do a foreign exchange um, program, and they're actually set up by the South African government to smuggle in blood diamonds to the United States. If you don't know what blood diamonds are, look them up. And this unknowingly suburban family in America ends up involved in this scandal with these blood diamonds, and the family is being targeted, and the family that is in the foreign exchange is being targeted by the government. Great story. Anytime you see anything by Caroline B. Cooney, it is a great book. All of her stuff, if you'll type in her name in Destiny, you can find all of her books. We have most of them here if they're not out of print. So this is Diamonds in the Shadow. Next, this is Freak the Mighty. It is the story of a friendship of a very tall middle schooler and a very small but genius middle schooler. The big kid has a learning disability. The little kid is a genius, and they form a friendship and help take up for each other. This is an adventure that they go on throughout the school year where they're having to defend themselves against bullies. So this is a book that's about bullying and people that have disabilities. Great story. It was made into a movie back in the 80s. Check it out. It's Freak the Mighty. Great story. Next, Miles Morales, Spider-Man. I believe this was made into a movie as well, or at least a Marvel comic show. I don't know. Maybe somebody could email me and tell me. But Miles Morales, it's this kid's story about how he wakes up with spidey senses, and he finds out that he is gifted in spidey senses. So if you like anything Marvel, you will love this by Jason Reynolds. If you haven't read any of his books, I highly recommend them. So check it out. Next is a classic. This next one is called Hatchet by Gary Paulson. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. In this story, a young man is on a plane, a private plane, and the plane goes down because the pilot has a heart attack, and he is left to survive out in the wilderness with nothing but a hatchet. Highly recommend it. Anything Gary Paulson. Next, this author named Sarah Moss has started writing books about superheroes. This one is called Catwoman. Everybody knows who Catwoman is, and if you don't, Google it. So Catwoman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, she has all written books about. This was called The Soul Stealer. Great story. She is great at writing. So check out Catwoman and the others that we have, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. Next is another classic by Jack London. It's called The Call of the Wild, and it was recently, last year, made into a movie. It's a great story about a man and his dog in Alaska and going on an adventure and getting caught in like a blizzard and snow and having to survive, the two of them having to survive. So check out The Call of the Wild. Next is Tunnels Tunnels is a series that is about a young man who digs tunnels with his father. That is their job, to dig tunnels. His father disappears one day. And he and his friends go looking for him. He disappears into thin air, and he finds out that there's a whole nother world of people who live underground. Hence the reason that they have been digging tunnels all this time. So this is his adventure of going to find his father, plus coming face to face with some pretty bad dudes. So this is Tunnels. Lastly, the book that scared me to death growing up. Uh, the movie. Then I did not know it was a book until I got to school here. This is Jaws, and it's by Peter Benchley. Jaws was made into a movie in the late 70s. I saw it in the movie theater, so scared that I thought that Jaws was going to get me on my bed at night. It seemed very scary, and now if you were to watch it, it would not seem scary at all to you. You probably would think it was comical. Anyway, Jaws is about a killer shark in Florida who is attacking people that are swimming in the ocean, and he just continues, and he is ruthless. He, of course, because he's a shark, and it's the story, this adventure about how these men are going to try to stop Jaws and get rid of him. So, if you have seen the movie, you must read the book. Now, any of these that you would like to read, just fill out the Google form or email one of us. Tell your teacher. If you are virtual, you can still check out. You just have to have someone come and bring you to pick up the book. And all you have to do is come to the front door, and one of the secretaries will bring it out to you. So, I hope you enjoyed Adventure, and I hope that you are staying warm because it's been chilly outside. And I hope you have a great rest of the week. Bye, guys.